buckle up. It's time to take the trip, buckle up.
You're listening to the Take the Trip podcast, where you'll find real talk and zero filter. I'm your host, Kendra Fogarty, and today I am here with Jessica from We Chose Adventures, where you can get all the best East Coast travel inspo. So Jessica, thank you so much for being on. Your account is packed with so many epic travel suggestions, and your videos and your photos are just stunning. So tell us how you got into all this. Have you always loved traveling, or when did that spark ignite for you?
Hey, it is so good to be here. And yes, actually, funny story. The reason I started my account is because I was not a big traveler or adventurer when I was younger. And I didn't discover all that until I think my 30s. I found myself newly stay at home mom with three crazy boys. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're destroying the house. And we started going outside. And that just kind of steamrolled into this whole traveling, outdoor focus. Like we even pulled the kids out of school to homeschool and travel more. And so, yeah, no, I did not start out that way. But once I kind of caught the bug as far as outdoor adventures and traveling, I really kind of went full steam ahead with it. It's been awesome.
My gosh, I love that. So you're like, I'm going to double down. Like, my soul has been awakened. This is what I want to do now.
Yes, it's like the thing they joke about. They're like, oh, you find this one thing and revolve your whole life around it. And that's exactly what I did.
Now it's just your whole personality.
It is.
That's,
I'm not
yeah.
ashamed.
I love that. That's so relatable. And that's great that you were like in the depths of parenting, right? Your boys are little, but you were still like, that's not an excuse. Like, this is what brings us joy. Like, this is going to enrich their childhood, right? And I just want to go for it.
And I was just really struggling. You go from full-time work to staying at home with three kids and just three kind of hyperactive, bouncing off the wall kids. And it's very lonely. And, I didn't know anyone and I just needed something. And I started with Hike It Baby, which they don't do a lot of stuff anymore, but it was that outdoor group for families. And I kind of just got hooked. And then, it just kind of steamrolled. I discovered photography because I was outside with the kids all the time. And it's just been fantastic.
So when you were growing up, did your family travel often?
No.
No,
Never.
so
So,
never.
okay, we did one trip a year to this little state park called New Germany State Park in Western Maryland, and there's nothing there. There's no cell service. There's this one payphone. I think the payphone is still there. And we would just go there, and that was like our version of camping because there was no TV. And we would just go hang out in these cabins. And that was our one trip. Every now and then we'd go to the beach too, as maybe a secondary trip. But other than that, it was the two same places, Ocean City, Maryland or Western Maryland. That's where we went.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's very relatable. My husband and I talk about this all the time, where it seems like when we were kids, it was just so much more common. Like, you go to one place and that is the place you go. But it kind of makes sense because there was no internet. Like, you were not getting travel guides. Like, it would be so much more complicated to plan a trip than there is now. And you have to buy new maps and stuff, right? No GPS. So in a lot of ways, it makes sense. But then I'm just like, wow, how would it feel to only ever go to the same place for my whole life? That'd be tricky. So I'm so glad that you found travel, that I found travel. It is definitely life-changing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And that you also decided to homeschool your kids too, so that you could focus on traveling more, and then picked up a new career that aligned with it. What were you doing before the photography? I'm curious.
Before photography, I did a couple things. So when my kids were young, I was in retail management. So I did various retail. I did banking retail. I did clothing store retail. And then when I stopped working for a few years with the kids, I got into childcare. And that kind of also the whole outdoor thing steamrolled for a long time when my kids were little. We did a nature preschool. I actually ran a nature preschool at my house. And I think I had up to 8 kids for a while. And I did that for a good, I don't know, 3, 4 years. And that was fantastic because I had this 3 families basically of siblings. And I just kind of got to watch them grow up from preschool and all go on to elementary school. And then, of course, it was at the perfect time for us when they all kind of graduated on to elementary school, that's when I moved on to the next thing and I stopped doing childcare.
My gosh, that is incredible. And what a gift that you gave to those families to be able to provide something like that. I know that I would have, like, when I was thinking about my kids going to preschool, it's like that would be where I'd want them to be. So that is just amazing.
And that's how it started because I wanted to send my kids to a nature preschool, but the ones I could find were really far away and really expensive. And I knew I wanted something that was attainable for everyone because I feel like all kids should have that access. The preschools, the regular preschools, the kids just don't have that kind of outdoor immersion and it's just a different experience.
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. So you also mentioned in your blog that you downsized so that you could travel more too. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was the original story behind We Chose Adventures. So we started out as the very typical mom and dad work 40, 50 hours a week away from the home. All three kids go to daycare. Nobody sees anybody. We have this nice house that we had built, great neighborhood, great school district, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
the
were
American dream,
Yes,
right?
and that's what we thought, and we were just miserable. I mean, you wouldn't get home until 6:30 or so. You haven't seen your family all day. You'd have to rush around, eat dinner, and then basically you put the kids to bed right after that, and then you just went to bed and did it all over again. It was miserable. And, we finally thought we had everything we wanted, and we did not. So that first decision, we actually did it all kind of at once when we decided to downsize to a smaller house, bigger yard, more woods, that kind of deal. That's also when we decided to pull the kids out to homeschool. I was a little worried about the homeschooling, to be honest, because I've never wanted to homeschool in my life ever. Um, and I love school, but it was such a great opportunity for my oldest, who was in public school at the time, that it just wasn't a right fit for him. So homeschooling has been, really like just a very cool extra part of our life that I didn't know we needed.
Hey, yeah, that's amazing and so relatable. And I love this conversation because, we're full time RVers and obviously a lot of our friends are as well. But to talk to someone who has made that shift, but in a different way to prioritize traveling and homeschooling and nature, I just love it. So, like, you don't necessarily have to go around in a tin can here. You can still stay in a home and prioritize the things. So, I love it.
That's our thing. In fact, we've moved around a lot in the past 2 years, and I did a 6-month kind of nomad stint and this past summer. And let me tell you, we hated it. Like, we didn't have an RV, so maybe we would have liked it more, but I just like having a home to come home to. And even if I'm traveling 3 weeks out of every 4, I still like to come home to my space and my stuff and just kind of like relax. I think that's how
Yeah.
it's me. I don't think I'll ever be able to travel full time. Although with an RV, I feel like maybe because then you have your home with you.
You have your
Right,
home
let's do
home
both.
with you. It's different, but it's like pros and cons. Like it's not for everyone, and I would never expect it
Yeah.
to be. Like it's a very, it's a niche life choice. But I love hearing this perspective for people who have similar interests and goals and just that mentality, but maybe don't want to do the full time travel thing, or they need to be in their community, whether it's for family obligations or just not working remotely and that type of thing. But
Mhm.
it's like a great way that you've life hacked it so that you can kind of have the best of both those worlds.
That's exactly what it is. It's the best of both worlds. So, if I want what we were doing for a long time, because we homeschool, I can travel Monday through Thursday and then still be home for the weekends and do the regular, like, community stuff, family that lives nearby, all that stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing about your journey so far. So, you create some really awesome itineraries. So, I am curious, like, did you know that you wanted to set out and create those? Did that unfold more organically? Do you remember the first one you created and why? Or, like, walk us through that a little bit?
Well, I love planning things. I think that's probably half of the fun of traveling for me. And so it's just natural to me because, again, I did this because I'm like, okay, this traveling thing seems scary, but I want everybody to be able to feel that they can go do this. And so I just naturally would plan these things out. And then, of course, when you plan them out, they never go to plan. And so I can then tweak it for someone that's actually done it and go and be like, okay, this is a plan that'll actually work. Here's my ideas. And I'm a very kind of like logical, organized person. So that's kind of my passion with the travel part. I'm just like, okay, here's this cool thing to do in a nice, organized list
Hmm.
type of thing. So yeah, I'm an itinerary person.
I like it though. Yeah. You've got gold on there. And especially for
Mhm.
people who like it can get exhausting to continuously be like, well, what do I want to prioritize here? Like, what do I want to do there? And I know that's really funny to be complaining about traveling, but sometimes it is just overwhelming.
That's the hardest part, and you're just like, "Okay," and usually and I've done this too, especially if I didn't plan it very well, I just have a list of places I wanna go, and then you're just trying to cram in as much as possible or, like, doing it in the wrong order, so you're missing stuff, and it's a lot.
Yeah. And then that feeling when you have a short amount of time somewhere and you go somewhere and you're like, this totally sucks. Why am I here? Like you do an activity or whatever it might be, and you're like, this is so lame, or this
Uh-huh.
was an absolute tourist trap, or like whatever it may be. That's a terrible feeling.
I
So it's so
know.
helpful when someone has vetted all the options for you, especially the things that cost money too, because then grinds my gears more when I like shell out a bunch of cash and it's something that I'm just like, that was not worth it.
Travel experiences are expensive. They're really expensive, and I get it because the cost of everything is going up. We travel as 4 or 5 of us, and sometimes I don't wanna pay $200 to go to an event, but sometimes it's worth it. So and that's kinda hard to you just gotta try it out to find out.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. We have to be very mindful of what we are spending and what we're not. And I always need to make sure that, someone like you has already been there and can
Yeah.
confirm that's an experience that we need to prioritize. So, another thing I really love about your page is you find these really cool hidden gems that are just so achievable for any road tripping family on the East Coast. So, I'm curious if there's a place that has like really surprised you with how much you enjoyed visiting it, where you didn't have super high expectations, or it's the type of place that doesn't have a lot of hype, it's underrated. Like, tell us where the real gems are.
So it's funny. I feel like a lot of my hidden gems have started to blow up, which is fine, which is great. It just means I need to find new places. I think one place, and it's not like it's a secret, but I feel like not enough people are talking about or going to Western Maryland. And
Mm,
that's a place I said I went to as a kid. In fact, I hated it as a kid because there's nothing there. But there are like four just amazing parks right near each other, like right there. So if you go to Western Maryland, you have the Deep Creek Lake area, Swallow Falls, Ohio Pile, which is in Pennsylvania, and then also Cooper's Rock in West Virginia. They're all within like an hour of each other and they're all amazing and you can do them in one weekend. Like I'm obsessed with all of those places. And you would never think to put that road trip together because those are three different states, but they're all right like near each other. And then Blackwater Falls in West Virginia used to be another one, but that one's totally blown up. Everybody knows about it now. Or if they haven't been, they should go because that is one of my favorite places. And Dolly Sods, which is like a wilderness area that's hard to get to in that same area.
okay, that's so good to know. We have been to Ohio Pile, it's magical, but I didn't know that in that same area I could have gone to other places. So that's great to
Exactly.
know. And
Mhm.
I love West Virginia getting all this love now, right? Like that's my favorite because they're such an underdog state. I think it's one of the most underrated states. So whenever I see these reels and other people visiting it and they're just like, wow, West Virginia has blown my mind. I love it. Like I'm like rooting for West Virginia because I don't understand why it's kind of gets this reputation that it doesn't really deserve when
Because
it is
nobody
so
knows
beautiful.
about it. And there are so many parts of West Virginia, you're like, "Where am I? Like, I'm in the
Yes.
middle of nowhere. Like, does
Yeah.
this road like, am I allowed to drive on this road?" And let me tell you, that's like pure marketing at its finest because West Virginia tourism is like
Hmm.
next level. They have gone hardcore with marketing, but like
Yeah.
it worked. They did a great job. And I
Yeah.
love following their page just because whoever's doing their social media, it's always a good time. So they
Yeah.
did a good job.
Yeah. I totally agree. And they have like, it's the benches or is it swings
They
that
have the
they have?
swings,
The
yeah, with the
swings.
sign, the
I
on the
love it.
swing.
Yes. Yeah. So good. So you also plan group trips. Some are all women and some are co ed, right? So tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
Back in my little kid days, I was doing running hiking groups, so family hiking groups. And I hate to say it, but as soon as my youngest turned 1, I stopped nursing the day he turned 1, and I was like get me on a kid-free hike right now. And so I started a women's hiking group and I started hosting women's hikes. And that kind of evolved into doing women's weekends, as we call them. And so we do women's like weekend hiking getaways. And, that was, let's see, my youngest just turned 10. So that was 9 years ago. And that's just kind of evolved into these bigger and bigger and bigger trips. I started doing some international women's trips with another couple groups and doing photography. And that kind of opened my eyes to international travel. And I've met just amazing people through that. So my true love is doing the women's weekends here locally because I try to make them, again, attainable for the average person because not everybody can spend thousands of dollars and go to Bali.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I try to do local road trip stuff and even camping so I can keep costs down. And then I do some other in Canada. I have a friend, Emily, who's amazing. She lives near Banff and we co-host Banff trips, which I don't know if you've been to Banff, but like you can't go wrong. It's just one of those like amazing places.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. Yes, Banff is definitely on the list. That was also just so relatable. Like, picture, like, yeah, when you're finally done nursing and you're like, just get me, like,
I was
out here.
surprised
So
people
I
that
love
like
that.
loved it. I was just not like it was so much.
It's hard.
My
It's a
youngest
lot.
was like, he wanted to be attached all day long, and I was just like, "Oh my goodness, I just need some kid-free like, a couple kid-free hours." That's what I would do. I still host my women's monthly hikes, which, just a chance to get out of the house without the kids.
I love hearing about all these things that you've done for other moms or just in the community. You're like this PTA mom remix, but like nature version. Like it's so great. So I love all these ways that you're getting people together and like encouraging like the outdoors. That's amazing.
It was such a huge deal to me when I found that outdoor group, and I would have never discovered that community, I think, anywhere else. Like, you just kinda something about the outdoor community, it's just really easy to feel like you belong, and I just knew that there were other women that needed that, and it's one of those things you don't realize how much you needed it till you get out there. Because obviously, like, the benefits of nature and then community, and it sounds weird when you say it out loud, but they really are just so huge. And I knew I wanted to make sure, one, that I keep getting that in my life, but also that other women are getting that too.
I just love it. So the idea of joining a group of women that I've like never met before is mostly thrilling, but slightly terrifying. So I'm curious. Well, I assume everyone on the trip like passes the vibe checked. Do most women know each other, or have you had women who go that are just 100% random, know no one? Like,
It's a lot of them or don't know anyone. And also too, why I
hey,
need the women's hikes because some women come to the hike first just to make sure that like this isn't crazy. And women's group trips are different and there's different struggles. I mean, I'll be honest, the international trips I really struggle with because I need a lot of sleep. I'm just one of those people and I really struggle when I don't like I just physically struggle.
mm-hmm.
And so, it's little stuff like that that you're never sure about. My first women's trip, I made my two friends come with me just because I was like, is it going to be weird? Is it going to be a cult? And it's always amazing because, again, I don't know what it is. Outdoor women are just always amazing. I think I've met one or two people that were maybe like, yeah, it's not for me. But most of the time, it's worth it to step out of your comfort zone. Or if you're not sure, drag a friend kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure. Let's be honest. Every RVer has had at least one what the flush moment, the kind where you open the bathroom door and instantly start questioning your life choices. That's why we use Camp Champ products now. Their RV odor abate doesn't mask smells with fake fragrance. It eliminates odors at the source by regulating your holding tank's pH to promote natural enzyme activity. So everything in your tank's continuously breaking down while you're camping, even in the summer. That means instant and lasting odor elimination, less calcium buildup, and better overall tank function. It's environmentally safe, compliant in all 50 states, and completely free from harsh chemicals or residual fragrances. Use the code TAKETHETRIP for 25% off and keep your RV smelling like adventure, not regret. So I was curious, like, the vibe, because I feel like and I imagine for a nature trip, like an outdoorsy women group, it's going to be a pretty chill vibe. But, I just hear like group of women trip and I do picture like the Moms Gone Wild version. Does that ever occur on the trips?
I mean, yeah, like to a point that it's like, in fact, the first women's trip I went to, me and my two friends, we ended up in Hoya Kings Canyon and we were there right around sunset, and the buses weren't running, the shuttle buses. So we had hiked to where we were. There wasn't anybody else there because there was no shuttle buses. And so we had this whole amazing overlook to ourselves. And we're like, oh, let's do a topless photo. Like one of those ones from your back. And like it was very like PG. It's just our like backs. And we were just like, oh my goodness. Oh, like I've never done that before. I'm like, I don't think I've ever shared it because I'm just like, it would be fine, but I'm still like, we went crazy, but this is not even like it depends on what your version of crazy is, I guess.
Right. You don't want people thinking it was like followed by body shots or something like that.
Yeah,
But
I know. Nice.
right.
Nobody
But
saw
oh,
any
yeah.
boobs, and it was just a fun day.
Oh, that is so fun. I love that. It must have been so freeing. But how the heck did you get back down if the shuttle buses were done? What
We
happened
hiked
next? So how
because
far was
it
it?
wasn't that far at all. Because
Okay.
I don't know if you've been to a national park recently. It's mostly tour bus people, so not like hikers. You know what I mean? And so that is the cool thing about that. If you're going away from where the shuttle buses are, it's not that crowded.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good tip
Mhm.
too. I love how you are intentional about where the women stay while you're on these trips. So you have the tent camping options like in West Virginia or the nice apartment in Banff, right? Are there any other types of places that you have stayed or how do you usually decide?
I've stayed in all the places. So I do, especially in my travels, and because I do photography for a lot of resorts and places, I've gotten to stay in just everything from, like backcountry camping to just these amazing resorts. Oh my goodness. Speaking of Bali, as I was earlier, you can stay in like mansions for nothing. It's just, you feel very fancy.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So I've tried it all. And obviously, I always go for the views. I try to pick the place that will get me closest to where I want to be and has the best views. And so I'm not a super bougie person as far as where I stay.
Mm-hmm.
I do prefer a hot tub. I am a hot tub kind of girl. But like if I am going to rough it just so I can be minutes from the mountains, I'm going to do that. Or if I can comfortably camp and still have amenities and save a bunch of money, I will absolutely do that too. Now, to say that, I will also go do a spa weekend, which I just did too. So really for me it's about the views and the place.
Yeah, the whole experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. There's nothing quite like a hot tub after a long day of hiking, though. It's just
I'm
so good.
obsessed now. Like, if a place doesn't have a hot tub, I'm like, oh, why are we even here? Like, even like, I don't care if it's like a motel hot tub. I am still getting in there. I think it's fantastic. I don't know why. I'm just obsessed.
Yeah, and then like the stars are out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a whole vibe. Have there been any like travel miscalculations? Like something that sounded like a really good trip, a really great idea, and was just very much not?
My friend and I did a Sedona women's trip. And we planned everything very, very well. And I had been there before. In fact, I'd just been there couple months before, and everything went wrong. Some of it was just from, I guess, not looking into the time of year when we were planning. And some of it was just totally random. There ended up being a freak snowstorm in, I think it was April,
Whoa.
to the point they shut down the roads to where our Airbnb was supposed to be. And this was a group trip that we were hosting. So we had nowhere to stay. We had to last minute find a place for, what were there, like, I don't know, 8, 10 of us to stay. And then that changed our plans. We were then an hour plus away from all the things we were supposed to do. So then we were staying in a different place. We had to drive 2+ hours a day. One of the things we went to do, we went to go on one of the hikes, which was like the highlight of the day. And the hike was closed for like renovation. And so, and we got really lucky. The group of women that were with us were so nice. And the whole time they were like, we just felt so bad for you guys. Just everything kept going wrong. And so they were so sweet about it. But it was just such a train wreck as far as like things going wrong. I mean, we managed to do everything. We were just exhausted after we were done because it's just all the extra driving and food, and it was a mess. But
Oh
we
my
we did the
gosh.
things. We managed.
Yeah, yeah. You have to pivot sometime when traveling, right? But it sounds like that was like a complete 180.
Like And with other people too, it's hard. Like if it's your family, you're like, "Oh, sorry guys, we're doing something different." But like when it's like a built out itinerary of people that like have paid you to go do something, you're like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh, that is so rough. And Sedona is just so magical. So I guess that helps though, because it's hard to be like angry when you're there. Like, so that's a plus. But I could imagine that that was super disappointing and just so stressful on your end to have to
Yes.
change everything the last minute. And I'm just glad to hear everyone was was chill. So before we talk a little bit about your journey as a content creator, let's play a little game of live, visit, exile. I'm going to give you 3 options, right? You're going to pick one that you would live in, one you would visit, and one you would exile. So the first one is Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. So where would you live? Would you stay in Maryland? Where would you just choose to visit? And where would you exile yourself from where you're never going to be able to go there again?
I know. I already know what my answer is to this. And I just, any of my tourism boards that I'm working with, I don't want you guys to listen to this and be obsessed. There's no reason behind this. So I love Maryland with all my heart. I love Maryland. I love the people in Maryland. I love the vibe of Maryland. I will always want to live in Maryland. I actually don't live in Maryland right now. I call myself a Marylander just because that's where my heart is. And I'm 10 minutes from Maryland.
Got it.
But I'm right over the Pennsylvania line. So Pennsylvania is the weirdest place to live. There's so much to do here. So I would, I don't want to, I would exile Pennsylvania just because of their weird taxes and just the weird way they do stuff. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'll be honest, Pennsylvania, I've met a lot of not open-minded people, which makes me sad. And don't get me wrong, I've lived here on and off for 16 years. And so, and my kids, in fact, say that they love Pennsylvania more than Maryland, which is a fight between us. I know. And I love all
Controversial.
the places we've been to. So Pennsylvania, I'd exiled. And then what was the other one? Virginia. Virginia, I visit all the time. So that's perfect. I would
Okay.
never live there, but I love visiting all the time because there's so many different places. They've got beaches, they've got mountains, they've got all the things.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I feel like it's another underrated state, honestly. Okay,
Yeah.
that's really interesting about Pennsylvania. So it's about the taxes. It's a
Bad
beautiful
roads,
state.
bad
Bad
roads,
roads, yeah.
and
And I
bad
do think
taxes.
it's interesting that you made the comment about some of the folks that you've met there, just because we're from Ohio. And so I think it's okay too for me to dog on Pennsylvania a little bit because Pennsylvania's always dogging on Ohio.
Always.
Always. But it was also one of my husband's territories for his job. So we were in every nook and cranny of Pennsylvania because he does some campground sales marketing. So we literally went to every campground in Pennsylvania. But when we were there, I was like, I'm just not 100% sure if these are my people. Like, I just don't know. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if they just saw our plates and were immediately like, get out of here. But it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. Okay.
Yeah. No, I have the same feeling, and I've lived here for 15, 16 years, and it doesn't feel like home.
Well, I'm glad you're close enough to Maryland, though, that you can at least kind of
That's why I still call
pretend like you're
myself
there.
from
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So the next one, a little different. It's tent camping, Airbnbs, or the pop-up camper. So you're going to have to live in one of those, I guess. You
Mhm.
can take trips in the other, but the third, you may never take a trip in again. Tents, Airbnbs,
I'm gonna
pop-up
be
camper.
honest, we've gotten spoiled by that pop-up, and my kids have not tent camped since, and they don't want to.
Oh,
So my
so it's
teen
easy.
actually tried it because he's 6'2" now, and so we don't all comfortably fit in the pop-up anymore. And so
Mm-hmm.
we tried tent camping, and he was out there for like a couple hours. He was like, "No, I can't do it." So tent camping, especially as a family, is too much because you need just all the sleeping pads and all the things you need, and then like it's a lot. I could exile that. Now I tent camping by myself on a women's trip, I love. But and then oh, I could easily live in Airbnbs. They're amazing. Like
There we
I
go.
just in fact my kids say that's their favorite type of travel because
Okay.
they love the Airbnbs because obviously they're all way fancier than any place that we
Yeah.
normally live. You know what I
They're
mean?
decked out, right? Yeah.
They are, and we've stayed in some crazy ones, like, we had one that had its own movie theater. We just went to a Harry Potter Malfoy Manor Airbnb,
Oh
which
my
was
gosh.
insane.
Where was that?
It's in Frederick, Maryland,
Wow.
and
That's
it has a hidden slide that goes down into a game room. It was crazy. That we actually did this for my son's birthday. So we could easily live in Airbnbs and then we can visit and travel in pop-ups, which is what we still do.
Perfect. Okay, that one works out well. And that is, yeah, and that's relatable. I feel like now tent camping, I'm like, I just don't know. My little one, I have a 5-year-old, and the other day she was like, "Can we go camping soon?" Like, we've lived in an RV now for over 3 years, and I'm like, "Baby, we're like always camping." But she's like, "No, camping," and I was like, "I see what you mean." But it is interesting, and I respect tent campers so hard. It's incredible, like people that can really make that work. Yeah, that's a lot of dedication.
It's a lot of gear for a family, and that's what the problem is. If it's just me, I love tent camping, but, like, just all the packing for tent camping for a family is just a lot.
Yeah. I'm a super light sleeper, so tent camping is tricky for me. Admittedly, I used to probably have a little extra like glass of wine if we were tent camping, and now I'm just, I'm not into doing that. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I could even sleep. I don't even know if I could sleep in a tent anymore.
East Coast is not set up for, like, backcountry camping, because also camping in a tent at a campground is not the same because there's just a bunch of people right near you. Like, if we had more backpacking here on the East Coast, or at least near me, I think I might do it more often because obviously, you see those insane, backcountry campsites on the West Coast, and oh my goodness, I would
Mhm.
totally do that, but I just feel like we don't have as much of that here.
I have a confession. If there was one thing that almost got us off the road, it was the homeschool situation. We felt overwhelmed and learning was feeling stressful for everyone. Then we switched to Me Academy and it honestly changed everything. The lessons are engaging. We love the flexibility. And having the full K-8 course catalog means our kids can work at the level that's right for them. Features like read aloud, captions, and transcripts help them stay independent and confident, which has brought so much peace back in our homeschool days and has them actually loving learning. You can try Me Academy for just $1.99 for the first 30 days, and then you can use the code TRIP20 to save 10 to 20% depending on the subscription type and see how it can bring that same balance to your homeschool journey too. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your journey in content creation. How long have you been posting to Instagram now? Like when did you add that to your journey?
I want to say I started a couple of years after I started the hiking group. So let's say maybe 7 years.
Okay, that's a good long time. So you've seen a lot of changes on the
Oh my goodness.
platforms, right?
I lived it. I was when I started my photography and I was just taking pictures every day, all day because I loved it. And I could tell, like, I don't know, Facebook I felt was like the place to keep in touch with friends. And I was
Hmm.
like, I feel like they don't want to see my pictures every day. So I switched to Instagram just so kind of I had a place to like share photos.
Yeah.
That's how it started. And it just went crazy over the years. I never thought it would turn into this.
Yeah, you've definitely been successful and your page is amazing, so it totally makes sense. Now, 7 years ago though, was that when Instagram was still just photo and there were no videos?
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
still photo only and I was photo only and I let me tell you, I do not love video. It's become my go-to just because now I've just kind of almost like trained myself to just be like this is the best way to do this and then I always, I always have my phone with me.
Hmm.
Cuz photography, I've been so busy. So behind on editing. I have just thousands of photos from all these trips in the past year that I haven't even edited. Like my dream trip to Egypt last November, I still have not edited those photos. Like they're
Gosh.
just sitting there. And so now I'm so overwhelmed. But yeah, so no, it used to be photo only. And obviously now it's totally different with the videos. And I guess they tried to bring back photos, but I still don't see a lot of traction on photos on
Me
Instagram.
either. I miss the good old days when there weren't stories and stuff and we just had pictures. It was simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of miss that. I wish I had like a retro Instagram option.
My thing, and actually I had people reach out to me. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday, ask me the same question. Just keep posting. It doesn't matter what's happening. Find something that you're passionate about and figure out what you're trying to do with that. Like, are you trying to get other people outside or are you trying to share places? And again, if you're trying to monetize it, then you need to know who your audience is, what they want. You need to know what you can give them and
Hmm.
then it's just trying new things, and that's what I do all the time, and because I video is not my specialty. It's taken me a lot to kind of learn how to use video and to create these videos. It's taken me a very long time. And in fact, it takes me forever to take a reel. It's not my thing. But I show up as much as I can and eventually it pays off. I started my account as like an outdoor account, and then trying to switch over into the travel industry has actually been
Mm.
really hard because Instagram's like, no, it didn't recognize me as a travel account. So anytime I'd post travel content, it would just fail miserably. And I feel like just in the past couple months, finally Instagram's like, oh, do you do travel stuff? Okay, we're going to show this to travel people. So I'm like, but again, it's just, you just keep trying and keep positive and don't look at the numbers. Just do what you want to do.
Okay, that is great advice. Follow your passion, make sure you're enjoying it. Don't look at any of the numbers. Oh my God, I hate now that the Instagram Edits app will like send you a reminder the next day if you edit in that, and it'll like tell you your percentages. It'll be like you would have decreased 75%. I'm like, you don't need to like rub it in my face. I don't need a text from you telling me.
Already
Just
checked
relax.
multiple times. I know. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm aware that that has tanked. And that's also so interesting that you brought up that you tried to kind of switch to travel. And that's very related, like nature photos, travel, like that's not a hard left, right? That's very similar. And then it couldn't handle it because I tried to post it, about podcasting. And it was like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you talking about that? And it just was like, we're not showing this to anyone. Like, it was so interesting.
It's been 2 years because I even tried to start another account. I was like, fine, I'll start a new travel account. Account actually gets so many followers and I do nothing with it. I just cross post. It's so
Oh, that's so interesting.
Mid-Atlantic bucket list. Every time I look at it, I do nothing. But that's the other problem. I have an old account. And so the older accounts, it's actually harder to grow.
Oh,
I've been
really?
hovering like right under 50,000 for a while now, and it's driving me nuts.
It's like so hard when you have that goal and you're like, just
Yes.
get there.
Well, there's some companies that'll be like minimum follower count 50,000. I'm like, oh, I'm so close.
That's
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah. So
Okay.
again, it's just sticking with it. And a big thing, remembering that it's a social media app. If you just go on there and post and talk about yourselves, you're not being social. Like part of it is the community. And so, I've got to know a lot of people on Instagram, my Instagram friends,
Yes.
and you're out there, learning stuff from them. And it's a give and take situation.
Absolutely. The Instagram homies are the best. Like
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's great. I was very hesitant to join it. I didn't really want to do a social media, but I kept feeling like I wanted a way to connect with more people who were in this lifestyle or, similar interests, people like you. And I was finally like, okay. And then at first I was like, I'm not doing anything where I show my face. I'm not doing reels. No, I'm just doing memes. Like it's not happening. And then, one thing leads to another and it all evolves and whatever. So you just kind of have to go with what you're feeling to and what feels right. But I really do enjoy it now. And like you said, it's like the friends I've made on there. It's just I really value those true friendships. I know a lot of people who aren't in it might not get that, and they might be like, "What are you talking about?" Friends from the internet, but I think it's real.
Yeah, and I've gone on to meet many of them in real life, and it's just, I mean, you could connect with someone online just as easily as in person. And this day and age, it's kind of a really great way to meet friends across the country.
Right, right. I think so many people are still in that, like, when the internet was born, and then everyone was like, "Do not talk to anyone on the internet ever."
No, I straight up go to different countries with strange women all the time now, and it's just a thing.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, that is great. All right, so switching gears a little bit, you had a recent reel that made me laugh, and it was your kids. They were acting like they just didn't know how to hike, right? So you mentioned you have four kids, 4 boys. Is that accurate?
Boys.
3 boys and 1 girl. Okay. So how does it go on the trips? I know you mentioned that they're not so into the tent camping anymore and that maybe not everyone's fitting in the pop-up, but tell us a little bit about how that's evolved or how travel's looking like with a family of 6.
It's so funny. I run multiple hiking groups since my youngest was like a year old, and they still act like they hate hiking, like every single time. Every single time. They're 10, 13, and 16 now. And every single time I say we're going to go hiking, they're like, ugh. And then every time, like halfway in, they'll act like, oh, this is great. Why haven't we done this in a while? This is so much fun. And I'm like, guys, why do you keep pretending that you don't like hiking? Like it's fun. And then traveling is the same. And especially too, they've gotten so spoiled because, we've been working with tourism boards and resorts for, I don't know, 5 plus years now, and then I remember I told them once and I'm like, "Oh, we're going to this place." And they're like, "Ugh, zip lining again? We just
Gosh.
did that." Be like, "Ugh, we're going whitewater rafting. Is it the good one or the not good one?" I was like, "Guys, do you hear yourself? Come on." I was like, "I'm doing all these things for the first time and I'm 30 and now 40, and you guys are, like, acting like, ugh, another whitewater rafting trip." It's crazy. They
That's hysterical and so relatable because my kids will do the same thing and they're little. So now I'm like, okay, there's no end in sight, I guess. We're like, oh, we're going to go to the beach today. And they're always like, I don't like the beach. And I just want to be like, I don't understand. Like, because growing up in Ohio, the only thing I wanted to be at the beach. Like, I had never been to Florida. I wanted to be at the ocean so bad. So for me, I'm like, but I'm giving you like this dream. And then they complain about it. And every time we get there, living their best lives, right? So
Yes.
every time we do something, then I like record them and I'll be like, are you guys having fun? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, okay, I'm showing this to you next time. Like, I know you like this. I think about this all the time, how to have them appreciate the experiences that we're giving them and not just take them for granted. And it's a real struggle. And I don't really have the answer for that. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but it is hard because, like you were saying, they're not understanding that these things they're experiencing are not like typical. It's not a standard
Yes. Yeah, I
childhood.
don't I have no idea.
Okay.
I really I just I'm clueless on that too.
Yeah. So if anyone is listening and you happen to know, please tag both of us so that we can get to the bottom of that.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes. All right. So before we play a quick game of Would You Rather, if you're not already following We Chose Adventures, you better go check them out. So now we have a couple Would You Rathers for you.
Okay.
So would you rather send a brand that you're working with or tourism board your personal photos that were definitely not acceptable for anyone else's eyes, or accidentally CC the brand on an email thread when you were very candid about how much work the partnership actually was and that you are not planning on working with that particular brand in the future?
Oh, heck yeah, number 2. If they're hard to work with, they should know.
I love that.
I mean, I wouldn't do that on purpose, but if it happened, it would definitely be way better than the first one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay. I love that. Uh, oh my gosh.
I'm like brutally honest person a lot of times. And so like, usually I have to tone it back a little bit. So I wouldn't be that sad if something like that happened.
My gosh, that's funny. And I also respect it because if you're paving the way for some other creators too, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And I've never had that situation and everybody's been so respectful, but we're both doing a job. And so if someone can't be respectful in their business,
Hmm.
we'll just know about it.
So you don't ever have where they're kind of like asking for more, where they're like, and then send me a few more pictures or like, and then post another thing. You don't run into that?
I really don't. I have usually you can tell in their first emails if it's almost, I call it like a spammy job where they're just like,
Mm.
okay, we're going to send you a free product and we just need 12 reels. And you're just like, okay, no. And that's why it's important too to have a contract, because once I have that contract, they can't ask me for anything else. And I can, and I honestly usually do try to over deliver. So maybe that's just not been a problem because of that. But no, I don't know. I can't think of anyone that's ever kind of gone too far as asking for deliverables.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So let me preface this by saying I'm confident that this would just likely not happen on your curated trips, right? However, would you rather have a guest on a women's only trip overdrink themselves into oblivion, resulting in like a full, like drunk person meltdown, right? Like one of those. Or have them drink themselves in oblivion, but they're in a good mood. However, they do bring a random gentleman back to the apartment and then they just assist it's fine because they're single.
Number 2, I think, would definitely be the worst one because
It's
it's
so
yeah,
awkward,
I
right?
don't even
Yeah.
know how to explain it. Yeah, so, like, I don't know, I feel like we can all deal with, like, an angry drunk, but, like, a stranger brought into the mix, I feel like that would be a worst case scenario.
Yeah. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great chatting with you and getting to know you better. If you're still listening, thank you so much. Please reach out on Take the Trip Fam with any guest suggestions, anything else you want to hear next. Safe travels, everyone. Don't unbuckle just yet. You're going to want to stick around for a song I can guarantee you've never heard before. And thank you again to Camp Champ for sponsoring today's episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Could've chased a bigger driveway, another room we never use. But we packed up all our someday, turned it into worn out shoes. Kids in the backseat, windows down, maps on the dashboard, dust and sound. Every mile said you're allowed to choose the wide world now. We chose adventures over bigger walls, grass stained knees and canyon calls, trading square feet for open sky, mud on our boots and stars in our eyes. We chose adventures, that's our kind of wealth. While little moments good for the soul and health. Come on, bring your heart, bring your doubts. We'll show you how to get out. Get out. Jessica's calling, grab your backpack, strangers turning into friends. Saturday sunrise, trailhead chit chat, laughing till the uphill ends. Women walking side by side, sharing stories as they climb, finding pieces of their pride, one switchback at a time. Oh yeah, those adventures over bigger walls, grass stained knees and canyon calls, trading square feet for open sky, mud on our boots and stars in our eyes. We chose adventures, that's our kind of wealth. While little moments good for the soul and health. Come on, bring your heart, bring your doubts. We'll show you how to get out. Get out. Get out. What if your backyard is farther than your street? What if your front door opens up to every peak? Bring your worries, we'll walk them off. One deep breath, one dusty rock. Take my hand, let's rewrite what home feels like tonight. Hey! We chose adventures over bigger walls, grass stained knees and canyon calls, trading square feet for open sky, mud on our boots and stars in